Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. The show is brought to you by DraftKings. Starting this hour with some NBA talk. For those of you maybe just waking up now early in the morning, Joel Embiid went nuts last night. He scored 70, and we started the show with this a couple hours ago saying how many times will another player in the NBA score 62 like Karl Anthony Towns did last night, and he's not the leading scorer of the night.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah. And Jonathan Von Tobel is the senior NBA betting analyst here at VSiN. His podcast is called Hardwood Handicappers. Always a great listen. He joins us now. Morning, JVT. How are you?
Good. And I would actually ask, when's the next time it happens this season, right? 62 and you're not the leading scorer. Could, given the way that these guys are scoring.
Yeah, will we have, here's a good prop maybe for a book. Will we have another night in the NBA where two or more players score 50-plus points? I don't.
Ooh, yeah.
60 is getting a little nuts, but how about 50-plus in one night? And so, based on what Embiid did last night, this is tricky, right? Because you got to play 65 games to win awards this year. He's down to plus 130. He's averaging 36.1 points per game. What is your MVP betting advice to the audience today?
I mean, it's hard to pass up on Embiid when he was, especially when we were talking about, he was in the range of about like 7-1 when he first came back from this injury stint that he was on. And, Femi Abebefe texted me. He's like, you got to get on this thing in terms of MVP because really all you're fighting against is whether or not he's going to miss time. Because I think statistically at this point right now, guys, he's going to win MVP if he keeps on track and plays enough games. I mean, some of the numbers with his efficiency, he's shooting 50% on mid-range jumpers. It's absolutely insane. You expect it to go in every single time it leaves his hands when he's in that free throw area. His efficiency numbers are on par with last year, even though his usage is the highest it's been of his career. Like across the board, these numbers are tremendous. And by the way, he is set to blow out his assist rate, his previous career high in terms of individual assist rate as well. So I do think that statistically he's on par. The question is just, do you trust that he's not going to miss, enough games here down the stretch? And I would think that he is going to be a guy that does not rest unless absolutely needed. I do think that MVP does matter to a guy like Joel Embiid and to this team, especially considering how the last few years have gone, and he finally gets one last year. So I think that you're in a good position now. I think it's kind of gone already. Like, I don't want you to invest at plus 130, considering that you have such a tight window to work with here. But that was the time. When he came back from injury and the market freaked out because of the missed time, that was in. And if you got in around that 7-1 range, you're in a pretty good position.
Pauly said a couple hours ago, it is sick how much talent is in this league. And to his point, Giannis had, 31, 17, and 10 last night. And it's like, I'm kind of bored by that.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, in fairness to that performance, though, sorry, you can't be going back and forth with the Detroit Pistons, right? Like,
no, I know. I know.
Right. It's a great performance. So you throw 31, 17, and 10. It was absolutely tremendous. But when you give up like a half-court defensive rating of over 100 to the Pistons, you duel with them in consecutive games. I think that's why you get lost. It's not only the performance against the opponent, it's the opponent themselves. But the Bucks have kind of been just floating around that 2 seed. But it's been such a weird and unimpressive stretch that has gotten them at that point where you're right. Like, we're so numb to these performances where about 10 years ago we'd be like, holy smokes, this leads SportsCenter. But on a single night, you have 70 points, you have 62, and then you've got a 30-point triple-double with 17 assists, and we're just like, yeah, that one can go on the back burner.
Yeah. Yep. By the way, Mark Stein reporting the Bucks could be players for DeJounte Murray. What is your gut feeling about that?
Yeah, I think that fits a little bit better than what we're looking at with like a Trae Young, for example. Like, Damian Lillard can play off ball, right? We've seen that a couple of times now. He's already playing with the ball dominant guy in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they need a guard at the point of attack. Damian Lillard has not had a good defensive season, and it's not all of his fault, but they are a subpar defensive team, and a lot of it starts with their pick and roll defense at the guard position, and that's Damian Lillard. So if you could put DeJounte Murray in there, and I should note, DeJounte Murray is a very overrated defender. Like, he's not exactly what his reputation is, but he's still better than what Damian Lillard provides. And he also gives you a guard that can lead your offense when you stagger those two. And when Damian Lillard's not on the floor, point guard is their weakest position. So if they can barge their way in and get in there and acquire him with whatever they have left, I would say it's only a positive given the weaknesses of this team. And I would absolutely love it. Now, I don't know if that's the move that makes me run to the counter to go bet Milwaukee to win the East, to win the NBA Finals. But at the very least, it makes a team that has a very clear weakness better in that position. And I think that's only going to help them when you're talking about trying to make up the gap between them and Boston, which clearly there's a pretty big one right now.
What do you think of the Knicks and the Pacers since they made these two big trades in the last time we've talked to you?
They're kind of like boring trades, and I know that might sound a little, but like for both of these teams, Paul, like neither trade is really making you run to go and bet them outside of maybe some adjusted win totals. For the New York Knicks, for example, OG Anunoby fits really well. They went on that tear where they won 5 or 6 straight games or blowing opponents out, but it was a lesser schedule, right? And now as we've kind of seen them kind of even out, they're a very good team. They should be able to beat up on some of these bad teams. They get Brooklyn tonight, and they should be able to win and cover that game considering the situations Brooklyn in and after they lost that game on Sunday. But outside of that, I don't think that pushes you toward, the teams like Philly, like Milwaukee, like Boston. I think that solidly puts you in contention for a 4 seed, and you should maybe be able to push for home court. We'll see if you can get it out of Cleveland and maybe get another 4-5 matchup with Cleveland like we saw last year. But I don't think that makes you a finals contender. And as far as Indiana's concerned, I think that solidly puts you inside of the top 6. But again, when you play as bad as you do defensively, when you lose to Portland in the first game with Pascal Siakam, when you lose, of course, the way you do to Phoenix as well, you can't really hold on. It's just a team that is not going to be good enough defensively, I don't think, to even win a playoff series with Pascal Siakam. Okay, so that game tonight, Knicks-Nets opened up Knickerbockers lane 3. It's up to 4.5 or 5. Still bettable in your opinion? I think so. For those who have not been paying attention to this slide that the Brooklyn Nets have on, it's not just giving up a 22-0 run and losing to the Los Angeles Clippers and failing to cover in that game. That was insane. But I had the Clippers team total in that game, and I was lucky to get that thing over. But the fact that if you went out there and laid it is absolutely insane. But guys, if you go back to, and we'll get the date for you, if you go back to December 13th. So they went to Phoenix, the Brooklyn Nets did. They won that game and they covered. Since that moment, they only have 3 covers. They have been absolutely abysmal over the last month. They're one of the worst defensive teams. Their half-court defense is abysmal. And for a team like New York, who, they're kind of like a bully, where if you're taking on some of these lesser opponents, they can get out there and win by margin. I still think 4.5 is playable. Brooklyn's just not in a good spot right now. There was this weird kind of faux report that people thought Spencer Dinwiddie was quiet quitting with how poorly he was playing on the floor. They're a team that could be selling off all of these pieces. I think at this point right now, there's no reason to look at this Brooklyn team and expect anything other than futility as we move forward. And I would expect that this is a pretty good spot still for New York to come in and get a winning cover. I agree with you. How about one of the wins, though, Friday? They put 130 up on the Lakers and ran them out on the road. The Lakers at DraftKings are plus 120 to make the playoffs. What do you think about the Lakers? Golden State's a mess. And if there's value there on the Jazz, it's 6-1. I think so. The problem with the Jazz, Paul, is just even it was after one of the wins that they had recently, right, where Will Hardy even said essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, we know what this is, right, which is in a month from now we could see some of these guys gone because if you get a good enough deal, then some of these guys are going to be out. But that Larry Markkinen, I think, is going to stick around, but some of the ancillary pieces could be on their way out, and I think that's the only thing that is a danger. If you tell me right now that you can guarantee the Jazz are going to stay together, then I think they are going to be a play-in team because I don't think you're in danger of getting passed up by the Rockets. I think the only worry is that the Golden State Warriors, who are currently 2 games back, finally start to put some things together, and I think they're good enough to do it. And they've had a lot of time off here, obviously, with the unfortunate passing of their assistant coach, that maybe they're going to be able to start to turn things around with Draymond back. But outside of that, I think you're looking at a team like the Lakers who are in danger of potentially falling out. We know that they're not going to have LeBron James tonight against the Clippers. You mentioned the bad loss. That was a terrible loss against Brooklyn. You can't lose a game like that. I think the Jazz are pretty live here, but it's just you got to be able to guarantee, which you can't, if this team is going to stick together. And I'll be very interested to see what the market does post-trade deadline. If they're still together and the market doesn't adjust and increase their odds, potentially make the playoffs, I think that's worth coming in and betting the Utah Jazz if we know they're going to be together post-trade deadline. I'll ask you this, and it's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, VSiN's senior NBA analyst, Jonathan Von Tobel. Clippers are laying between 8.5 and 9 tonight against the Lakers. It was around this time last year where I bought, I think, as low as possible on the Lakers at 47-1 to win the Western Conference. Things were looking like they were, at that point, it was okay, they're going to make a bunch of moves. This is not the finished product at all. Maybe it was a little bit earlier in January. Regardless, they made the Western Conference Finals before getting swept by Denver. Why do I have zero desire to bet the Lakers this year? I think it's because it's a couple of things, right? The first thing is I think that we need to understand how nicely that bracket broke for them last year, right? You get a Memphis Grizzlies team that was absolutely shattered with injuries. You get a Golden State team that doesn't have anybody physically that matches up with you. It breaks perfectly for them. And then you see what happens in the Western Conference Finals where we can call it the most competitive sweep in basketball. It's a sweep. You lost all 4 games. You saw that gap, Mitch. And I think that's part of the reason is they ran back a play-in team. And so now you look around and you're going, okay, Like, what are the moves? And one of the moves is clutch client DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray, I don't think is going to make that difference. We talk about fit. I don't really love the fit. Like, when you talk about DeJounte Murray playing off ball, not being an elite catch and shoot 3-point shooter, not entirely fitting, I don't think there's a move that really pushes this team forward. And there's no real, I think, path. Maybe we'll see what happens with injuries and how things shake out. But you look at the top of the Western Conference, Mitch. I mean, when we're talking about Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Denver, the Los Angeles Clippers, you go on and on. Who would you want to play the Los Angeles Lakers in one of those series, right? Because they're clearly the worst team that every single one of those teams that could be in front of them. So barring a path that forms like that, I think that's why you don't want to. And also, to your point, you said you got them at about 47-1. They're still about 25-1. Like, that's not worth investing in at this point.
No,
right?
Thank you. Do you have a best bet or two for tonight?
Yeah, so it's going to be the Nuggets at -4.5. It's a short card, so there's not a lot going on. But I think the Nuggets -4.5 is going to be up there. That's the only bet I've made so far. And then I think if you want to have something a little bit later tonight, if you're looking at, let me get the number for you here really quickly. But the Los Angeles Clippers, their team totals have been something I've been messing with, especially here against the Lakers without LeBron James. They've been elite offensively. And since they're going to be together in a little bit of a revenge spot, remember about a month ago, a little less, on a Sunday, they went out there to L.A. and, of course, fell flat on their face and lost a bad game. They're going to be up for this. 120.5 on a team total over for the Clippers tonight might be worth looking at as well.
All right. You can follow JVT on X. He's at MeJVT. And you can also get his podcast called Hardwood Handicappers. It's great. Does it on a daily basis wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, pal. We appreciate the time today. Best of luck.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Be good. There you go. Up next, we'll recap more of last night's betting action. Pauly's going to run it all down for you in Win Some, Lose Some next here on VSiN.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
After the game, Minnesota said we disrespected the game as a player was trying to hunt for a big number. Well, anyway, Charlotte was plus 750 on the money line, down 18, and they win as 14-point dogs in Minnesota. Memphis was plus 230. They won in Toronto. Cavs do it again. Not that long ago, Milwaukee was minus 2,000 to win the division. It's now $4. Cavs plus 1 went off the favorite and won again. Embiid, first player in history, was 70, 15, and 5 in a game. And the San Jose Sharks beat the Kings. They were plus 310 on the money line. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. Super slow-mo, coming in hot. This was on social media again, making the rounds. Look at the dog coming in, running into the owner's vehicle where the window's down, and he's coming in hot from the passenger seat, and he nails it. Coming in with the video where you're looking right, and look at the face. Look at his face as he comes in. Don't forget about me, Dad. Take me on the trip, too. And he comes in full steam, mind you. I mean, he is hauling ass as he jumps in the car and gets ready to go as he wants to leave and go with his dad. As he comes in from the house.
I want to see a split screen of real time and slow motion.
Yes,
and then there you go, pause, look at the look.
Right, coming in. Yeah. Does it every Tuesday, right? It's old hat for him. I mean, he comes in no problem, and he knows this must be a regular occurrence as they're rolling with the footage here. That is awesome. We got to put that up later at Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. It's been a while. It's been too long. House porn. Great follow on X. Look at this view. Are you serious? The ocean view from the bathroom. Oh, my God. Fantastic. That is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. Ocean view, and then you have your own little pool as well.
Last time we took a bath.
Been a long time, right? I don't want to sit in my own filth, right? But that's the old Larry David line from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Well, I mean, I live on the ocean, but, after one day, you get sick of it, right? I mean, it's no big deal. A lot of people tweeted about, I think this is a great idea. How about the two worst teams in the league play on Thursday night football, the weekend, or before the weekend of wild card action, and the winner gets the number 1 overall pick. You like that?
Well, this year would be a little funky because would Carolina, how would they look at the game? Because the pick would technically still not go to them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, throw that out.
Well, no, but I mean, in theory,
I think that's a great idea.
In
though.
theory, I kind of like it.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want any tanking. And you just say, okay, the 2 worst teams will play on a Thursday, and the winner gets the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
Got to
yeah.
win the game. I think that's great. Also, here last night at Circus, somebody hit a Royale with cheese for $100,000. Oh, what a feeling. Oh, one time.
What is that, a push?
125
125 a push?
Uh-huh. That's right.
Yeah.
First goal in the first 10. Streaks. Seattle, 17-3, yes, at home. Boston, 7 in a row. Columbus, 11 of 13. On the road, Ottawa, 16 of 18. Lose some. It comes to an end. Oh, no. The Bruins beat the Jets 4-1. Empty net goal late.
Well, you had the Bruins in the game, though, so that was good.
The Jets, 34 in a row, allowing 3 goals or fewer. 1 short of the modern record, the 2015 Minnesota Wild. Ah, damn.
It just so happens the schedule broke where they were playing at Boston the night before, obviously.
Yeah.
So that team gets them.
Yep, and now they got Toronto coming up as well. So, what a story. Timberwolves, Hornets under, 224 down to 220. Not even close. UNC, Wake over, 154.5 up to 159.5. No good. This is sick. Let's go to the new Fountain Blue down the street. Guy waited an hour for nachos. That's bad enough. He's in the sports book. An hour for nachos. $24. This is what comes out. There's like 6 of them. There's almost more condiments than actual nachos here. $24. How does it take an hour? I don't care how backed up you are. And then it comes out like this.
Those chips better be pretty good, I'll tell you that.
I don't care.
So I can expand on this here in a couple of minutes.
You can?
On Fountain Blue, I've been there, yeah.
Okay, all right, very good. And one bad beat, the Suns did it again. They were down 23 at home to the Bulls and won the game. Last week, they were down 22 in the fourth quarter and beat the Kings. Bulls up 23, they blow it. At least they got the money where the Suns didn't cover. If you haven't already checked out the new VSiN.com, check out the title game previews. Adam Burke on what Samuel means to the Niners. We'll talk about that more coming up. Check it out, the new VSiN.com today. More mobile first, full focused, enhanced navigation, expanded educational content. Check it out, the new VSiN.com. Keep an eye on Minnesota. Now, after the game, that was funny. You had Embiid go for 70, and he's being celebrated, and everyone, oh, what a performance! This is great. And he has the team record.
Yeah.
And he was the first player in history, as I mentioned, to do what he did last night. Then you had Cat go for 62, and his coach calls him out after the game. But some people are pushing back, like, imagine if your coach did this to you. But, I mean, he was chasing stats, though. I understand where he was coming from, and you also have to look at the comments from the teammates and Anthony Edwards. Cat shot 35 times. Edwards shot 11. Everyone else was under 10. They disrespected the game. Finch said it was immature basketball.
They were in awe of what was going on.
Right, because he had 44 at halftime.
They thought he could go for 80, 100.
90,
It was on the anniversary of Kobe scoring 81.
And they blew an 18-point lead to a bad team. You're the number 1 defense in the league. You gave up 128, whatever it was, and lost to Charlotte. Inexcusable. And what happened? But Cat was chasing and not playing team basketball and shot 10 times alone in the fourth quarter and only made 2. And they blew the lead and lost the game.
Yep.
So keep an eye on that. How do they come out and, okay, we'll respond. That was embarrassing. Or is it kind of like, well, why'd you say that? But certainly Cat was not playing team basketball, even though he had great numbers. And the guys were standing around and just thought, okay, this is like AAU ball. We're having fun. Let's just go out there and get some exercise. Next thing you know, we got a game. And you blow it.
By the way, so the Fountain Blue story. Most times when a new spot opens up here in Las Vegas, and I'm guessing beyond, right? They hire people who are good looking to show up and hang around, and it's like, oh my God, what are we doing here? This is unbelievable. I want to keep coming back.
Atmosphere models, yes. What a racket.
Lorraine's friend was in charge of hiring the models for Fountain Blue.
Come on.
I promise we had dinner with her that night.
Wow.
Telling us part of the story. Yeah, and so
it's a female. Okay.
So when we were when we were walking around Fountain Blue, now it basically opened up to the public right around New Year's. So that's an unfair sample size because it's one of the busiest weekends of the entire year. Everybody comes to town, and it's a brand new property on the Strip. They want to go there, right? So there were just thousands upon thousands of people hanging out there. with countless hired models walking around. It was like, can we like buy a spot down here so I can come here every single day? It was amazing. However, that's one very busy weekend that you can't compare to many others.
Need a raise, though. It's $24 for nachos.
And when you wait an hour for them, and when it takes a minimum bet to sit at the bar called the Tavern of $5,000 to get in there, and then if you want to sit in the sports book, it's a minimum bet of $10,000. Like, I get it. You're going to have people, tons of money here, who are going to come. That's not a problem. But how many people are you pricing out and that has no chance?
Keep an eye on this. Good call. Now, there's a restaurant where it's $1,000 for a steak, and they bring it to you in a briefcase, and that's
correct.
Like, you're not getting any locals. You don't even want locals. You're not tier matching. You're
the
charging
no tier
this.
matching is.
How can you charge this for your sports book? We're going to be the place to watch all the games. This is going to be the sports book.
Yeah, we're going to take over.
That's a quote in the Arash Markazi story.
Well, who? You're going to get Drake and his buddies to hang out every weekend?
It's not. That doesn't come with anything. Say what you want about these pools. But it's like, okay, it's $5,000. I get a cabana, whatever. Okay.
On a busy weekend.
But that's food and drink.
Yeah, right.
Here, that's just to sit down.
Yeah. And then it's going to be a plate of 6 nachos for $25 on top of that.
And I'll get it at halftime.
Yeah, right.
I don't.
How offensive is that?
I don't know. You're seeing that is offensive, and I don't get offended.
No,
but you've also seen top guys. What do you call it? CEOs already gone.
Executives gone. In like a month.
Thank you. Executives gone already. They just opened.
Right. So, I mean, the location's a little bizarre. It's across from Circus.
I understand the garage is a nightmare.
It took us more than an hour to get our Uber the night that we left.
Yeah.
Now, because the GPS doesn't recognize exactly where to go at that point, it was a madhouse and people were livid. And it's like, I get it. I mean, it's taken forever to get down here.
It took Luke an hour and a half to get out.
Yeah. Yep. And now you have basically that and Resorts World, who are catering to high-end clientele. And
And Resorts World is now reaching out to locals.
Yes, they are.
Saying which these are.
I hope it works. I never root against anything working, obviously.
Well, it's a tough location.
That it is.
It's so many people just think, well, the strip ends at Wynn, or the strip ends at Venetian. But if I'm not going north.
If you're coming out to the Super Bowl, though, I would say if you have time to go check it out. I mean, it is pretty awesome. Up next, John Lund's going to join us from KNBR in San Francisco to get his perspective on the Niners and the Lions. If he had a bet on Deebo Samuel playing this Sunday, as of right now, would he bet the yes or no on that? We'll ask him coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
If you haven't checked it out already, get up there to the new VSiN.com. Adam Burke on the importance of Samuel and previewing both title games Sunday. Check it out, the new VSiN.com. Fresh new look. Check it out today.
Okay, we're going to hit the Niners and Lions game here. John Lund joins the program, longtime radio host in the Bay Area. His show is called Papa and Lund, 10 a to 2 p on KNBR 680 in the Bay Area. John, it's good to talk to you as always. How are you, my friend?
Oh, it's great to talk to you guys. How you doing, man? Getting ready for another NFC Championship game.
Yeah, no, what is this, 4 and 5 years now for the 49ers overall?
Yeah, 4 and 5, yeah. And they finally get one at home last year. Obviously, Philly with Brock getting hurt the year before they were in L.A., and Jaquaski Tart dropped a punt interception that lost the game. So
that's right. They're
hoping for a better result. Yeah.
Okay, so we ranked our quarterbacks for the final 8 teams remaining in the playoffs last week, and we each had Purdy over Goff. We kind of re-examined that today. He was, when it mattered most, give the kid credit. He shined. I thought he was really, really good. Also, nice touchdown pass to George Kittle. What is your level of concern in this game and moving forward in a potential Super Bowl matchup with Brock Purdy?
If it's going to rain, it's high. He was messing around with the glove, took it on, took it off. And for a kid who played at Iowa State, he just has not played well in rain. Go back to the Cleveland game this year. He just hasn't figured it out. So we're looking right now in the Bay Area, which you know of, Mitch. It's just, and you guys both know, at this time of year, it could be 52 and rain or fog, or it could be 70. And right now it's projected to be 70 and dry. So if you're getting Brock Purdy in dry weather, I think he's one of the better guys. I'm not or at that elite level, but I've basically sat here and defended him all season long, and people think it's just the offense or just Shanahan or just playmakers. Look, he's great for this offense, but for some reason, in weather, rain, here, he just hasn't figured it out. So, look, you can't sugarcoat it. He was terrible up until that final drive in which he went 6 or 7. He was missing throws, but more importantly to me was he was missing reads. One of the reasons he's been so good in this offense and Kyle likes him so much is he lets it rip. And if it gets intercepted, he's okay with it. But the reality is that in wet weather, he's been terrible, but he has been the key. I mean, in wins, it's 28 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. In losses, it's 3 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So really, for all the talent that is here, as Brock goes, so goes the 49ers offense.
Great answer. Great breakdown. Let's say it doesn't go well. He's erratic. He's missing reads. It's a little bit like the Monday Night Massacre and what happened Saturday. They like to dance, and Cousins, Rodgers, Brady. Rumors have always been out there over this organization.
Yeah.
What would they do next year if they lose and he doesn't play well?
Well, I think the time has passed for Tom Brady. I know that story was out there last week, and it was because he was coming off such a major injury, which I think people forget about. He didn't have an off season. So for that particular time, I think Tom Brady would have fit. And, yeah, I know what people are going to say. Kirk Cousins is out there. Kyle Shanahan has loved Kirk Cousins. He's going to be a free agent, obviously, this year. I just don't see it. I don't see them making that big of a commitment. Brady was kind of a unique situation where Brady could come in for a year. He could play. He would be done. And then Brock Purdy, no worse for the wear, although you could tell he's a competitive guy, so he didn't like that situation. But he would have understood it. Kirk Cousins is a guy who's going to get a multi-year contract, and although Kyle Shanahan has been obsessed with him for a number of years, I just don't see it happening. So win or lose, Brock Purdy's going to be their guy going forward.
Okay.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, John Lund. His show is called Papa and Lund on KNBR 680 in San Francisco, weekdays 10A to 2P. Another big question mark is Deebo Samuel and his status for this game on Sunday. Adam Schefter tweeted yesterday, call it about 50-50. It's early in the week here, John. But if you had to bet on Deebo playing in this game against the Lions, would you bet on the yes or the no?
I'd bet on the yes because of where we are in the season. If this is a regular season game, of course he's not going to play. This happened against Cleveland. He had a hairline fracture in his shoulder, and he missed a couple of games. And it was a very similar situation in that they lost him on the first play. Well, they lost him against Green Bay on the fourth play. And the reason why it matters and the reason why it changes so much, he's one player, I understand that, but he is in so many different formations, and I know of the game plan last week. He's like losing 3 or 4 players for the 49ers. He's in the slot. He's in the backfield. He lines up in so many different ways. He's in motion a number of different ways. Kyle Shanahan, especially in the playoffs. If you remember a couple of years ago when they used him as a running back, and there was a lot of debate of whether he even wanted to play that position, and it was because of injuries. And then the next season, which was last season, they didn't use it as much, but then in the playoffs they did. And what they do is, and a lot of teams do this in every sport, is that they may not use a quarterback may not run as much, or whatever the case may be, because you're watching for injury. But in the playoffs, they use Deebo a ton and in a bunch of different formations. So in the case of Kyle Shanahan, here he loses basically his gadget weapon for this game early, and he was a heavy part of the offense. And it took them a long time to adjust. And there's nobody who can take over that position. It's just Ray McLeod, Jawan Jennings. Those guys aren't the same kind of players. So when they lose Deebo, it's a big part of the offense. So he won't rely on him as much as far as the game plan is concerned. But I'd be absolutely shocked if Deebo didn't play because it's the NFC Championship.
You mentioned Purdy in the rain. What's a weather report for Sunday? Yeah. And I was stunned. I was stunned that they weren't prepared with their cleats in the rain, and they were slipping all over the place on defense Saturday.
I agree with you 100%, Pauly. I mean, I don't know why they weren't prepared and why Green Bay was. I mean, we were debating that yesterday on my show. Green Bay, I guess, comes from a place where the weather's worse, but they should have known. It was raining all week. It's been raining here for 2 weeks now. As far as Sunday is concerned, it's supposed to be 70 and clear, but it wasn't supposed to be as bad as what the weather turned out to be early in the week last week either. So things can quickly change around here. It's still raining today, so there's going to be rain up until that point. So it's supposed to be nice, and it's a massive difference for Purdy as far as the cleats. I can't tell you. I'm shocked as you were. Obviously, Ward fell down for a long game by Dobbs. Gibson fell down on a touchdown pass to Melton. They were slipping all over this place. It was weird because offensively not as bad, although Jawan Jennings slipped on one in which he could have got up for one, but he slipped on his cut. So the Packers weren't slipping at all, and especially defensively the 49ers were, so I would expect them to change it. But I'm with you. I was shocked that on your own home field to not have the right footwear, as weird as that sounds. I mean, every detail matters in the playoffs. And Green Bay wasn't slipping around, but especially defensively and along the defensive line. I talked to some guys after the game. Along the defensive line, they weren't getting a lot. So they obviously made an error in their preparation for the game, which shocked me.
It was a rough game, too, with the special teams. What's your level of concern there, and also with Moody?
It's well documented around here that I wouldn't have taken a third-round kicker. It's nothing against the kid. I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, you look in Dallas, what they've done. You can pick up kickers all the time. You know, Justin Tucker's the best kicker of all time. He's a free agent. I mean, you just don't do that. I think it was a problem, especially when they gave Trey Lance. You know, they gave away all those picks for Trey Lance. I just don't think you spend a third-rounder on a kicker. Okay, having said that, I'm still nervous because the 48-yarder, which people around here are downplaying, that was a low kick, and that got blocked, but it was a low kick. He did hit the 52-yarder later, which was absolutely huge, especially given that Carlson missed his kick. But, yeah, he's a rookie kicker. In the game prior, he missed an extra point, and he missed a field goal in that one. The thing to watch out for Jake Moody, and I don't know why this is the case, on kicks that are lined up on the right hash, he tends to push those right. So if you see a kick that is either middle or left hash, and they'll try to set him up if they can. But for some reason this year, the Cleveland kick that they missed, Brock Purdy put him down in position to try to win that game late, and Jake Moody missed that kick right. It was on the right hash. The kicks that he missed, not the extra point, but the last field goal he missed, was off the right hash in the regular season. So for some reason, he has that issue. But the winds, well, they don't swirl like some other stadiums. This isn't Buffalo. But certainly Levi Stadium can have wind issues, and he still hasn't figured them out. So look, you're talking about a rookie kicker you took in the third round, and Robbie Gould, their previous kicker, as everybody knows, never missed a postseason extra point or field goal. So it's a massive difference, and it certainly is in the back of everybody's mind here.
Nope, spot on. Great tidbit there. We have about 2 minutes left here, John. What's the explanation for Kyle Shanahan being so conservative in that game before halftime?
There was 4:09 left at the 25-yard line, and they're up 7-6. And the thing, Kyle Shanahan has this thought that that there are analytics that say if you possess the ball, touch it last before the half, that's a massive advantage. I can't find those analytics. There's a huge debate here. I don't think those analytics exist, but that's what Kyle Shanahan says. To me, and you guys can chime in here, you worry about the clock, there's no question. But what it tells me is he doesn't have faith in his defense at this point. And this defense isn't the same, especially against the run, as we saw those big alleys against Green Bay. And I don't think he trusts his defense because with 4:09 left up a point, you worry about the clock last and you worry about scoring first. Those are your priorities. So score and then worry about the clock. When they won the game, there was 1:07 left. They weren't sitting there going, oh, the clock. They had to score. So before the half,
yes,
Kyle Shanahan, and Green Bay took the ball. People forget. Green Bay did them a favor by taking the ball. They could have gotten a score there with that 48-yard field goal, taking it out to start the half, and doubled up on the Packers. They didn't get a score before the half because Moody's kick was blocked, and they did 3 and out before the half. So those are the big things for Kyle Shanahan, and he didn't get either of them done against Green Bay. Yeah,
great perspective. Follow John on X. He's at John Lund Radio. His podcast is called Unleashed Bay Area Sports, and also Papa and Lund weekdays on KNBR 680. Quickly here, do they win the game? Do they cover?
I think they win the game. I don't think they cover because they're just. I just have a lot. I'm nervous, especially against the run. I just tell you, I think they win. I don't think they cover.
I'm with you. Thanks, John. We appreciate it.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys. Always good.
Thank you, sir.
I think so too. Right. This should be a Gibbs and Montgomery game. We saw with Aaron Jones on Saturday night. That's how you can go at this team. Not easy to pass against them. In pocket plays coming up next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're on.
I'm a big fan of the Winnipeg Jets. I had to play against them last night, and the Bruins were a winner, minus 130. The unfortunate part was the historic streak came to an end. They were 1 game away from tying the modern record. Most games in a row allowing
you can't get it all, Paul.
Yeah, it's true. No empty net. The empty net puts it over 3. First time in 34 games the Jets allowed more than 3 goals. Adding some props. There'll be plenty of these the rest of the week. KC Baltimore. Will there be a 2-point attempt? Yes, plus 135. In both games, each team with a touchdown and a field goal. I think they're going to be high scoring. Now, maybe you don't get 50 points combined in the AFC game, but I have 2 great kickers with Jackson and Mahomes. It's the first time I think we have 2 quarterbacks under 30 with MVPs in an AFC title game. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
In any event, 185 and 195. Each team with a touchdown and a field goal in the games on Sunday.
Can you parlay those?
It depends where you shop.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right. That's interesting you bring that up because a lot of people now are chiming in about when people come here for the Super Bowl. About apps and all this. Well, number one is people are going to be shocked that a lot of the stuff you cannot parlay.
We should probably spend a little bit of time on that one day this week.
Yeah.
As like a PSA. Remember, we had to do this before the draft was out here. We're warning people now, like if you're used to something in your jurisdiction, you're probably going to find it to be a little bit different out here in Las Vegas. So I had nothing last night. Good job on the Bruins with the winner. Here's what I'm doing tonight in the NBA. I'm going to do a Clippers-Knicks moneyline parlay, minus 109. Nets, horrible form. What does that say about the Lakers, by the way? The Nets beat them by, 18 points in that game?
Can I chime in quickly? I thought Von Tobel had a pretty good answer. The bracket set up beautifully for him. But to expand on that, Vincent hasn't played, and Hachimura was a fluke. Hachimura just couldn't miss for 2 months. So, yes, they went to the conference finals, but this... And also, Ham cannot find a lineup that he likes. And you shouldn't have acquired Russell. That's another one. I mean, that guy, you don't know what you're getting out of that guy.
I think you're probably onto something there across the board. Made my case earlier in the show today for Kentucky, South Carolina. There's a national sportsbook right now over 154.5, 155, fine, but that's the best number out there for most of you. I think all of you. I'm also looking to play South Carolina for the first half. I'm going to wait, though, on that one because it's 2.5 right now. If I find a 3, South Carolina first half, I will be betting that. They are 15-3. They don't have a great SOS, but it's a totally different style of play than Kentucky. They slow it down. Kentucky is the exact opposite, and they're elite everywhere. But this is going to be, that place is going to be juiced up big time to welcome in Kentucky tonight. And Kentucky, they've struggled a little bit in first halves, and then watch this team kick it into high gear in the second half. They are a machine on offense in the second half. So that's where I'm at as of right now with the in-pocket plays.
Put the experts to work for you. Start betting smarter with the VSiN Pro subscription. Get your first year for $199. Use promo code FTM. Access to everything we do with the new website, the daily best bets, the leaderboard, who has the hot hand, betting splits, dog videos, and the upcoming Super Bowl betting guide. Use promo code FTM. Get your first year of VSiN Pro access, $199. VSiN.com/subscribe. Plus 120 to make the playoffs at DraftKings, the Lakers. It's also a completely different year in the West. I mean, the T-Wolves are awesome, much improved. Discovered the champs. Suns are improved. Definitely the Clippers are improved. And also, you just had teams that weren't that good and teams that also had big injuries last year in the West, too. So it's going to be hard for the Lakers to make a run if they get in.
I also want to see a longer sample size of the Suns at full health or close to full health as possible for that team. Because it is, I am definitely concerned about the depth overall, the bench, how many points they can get. Again, there was a game the other night against Indy where their big three scored 91 points. As a team, they scored 117. That's not going to be... Now, that's probably a fluke, too, but that's not a recipe for success later on. They've also had a game where Grayson Allen was the leading scorer, and he had 9 threes. So if he could just chip in and be a little bit more consistent like that, not asking for the 9 threes, obviously, but if he can give them 15 a game and you can bank on that, okay, now we're talking a little bit here, in big spots too, but also falling behind in a lot of these games and they have to rally and come back, that's also not sustainable.
All good points. This is fun, though. I mean, you've already seen some big trades. We're 2.5 weeks away from the deadline. Who knows? Maybe it's just going to be Boston and Denver, and they're too good. But I think it's wide open, and there's a lot of cases to make. You can make the case for a lot of teams, rather. especially in the West. The other thing is the individual performances. Freak already had a 60-point game, or 54, excuse me, what Cat did last night, and Embiid scored 70 points in 36 minutes. 24 of 41 shooting.
Yeah, I thought
70 points. And Cat had 44 at halftime.
That was a really good point that JVT also brought up earlier, that Embiid is shooting 50% on mid-range jumpers.
There you go, right.
And he was 21 of 23 from the line last night.
He's a great shooter.
I'm actually surprised when he has that. Three's different story, because who knows? But when he's within like 15, free throw line extended, or when he's at the line itself, I'm surprised when he misses at this point. That's how well he's playing.
Right.
He's averaging 36.1 points per game. Harden did that in 2018, 2019. Kobe didn't even get that high for a full season. His best was 35 and change. You got to go all the way back to MJ, mid-'80s, when he scored 37.1 points per game to find a guy who scored more for a full season. Now you're getting into, close to 40 years territory since a guy's averaged, if he can actually get over 36.1 for a full year. And the whole talking point about the MVP, well, he's the short shot now, plus 130. I actually, today, don't you think, if they did not have the minimum games required to win an award this year, if that wasn't a new thing, don't you think Embiid would be minus 150, minus $2 at this point?
That.
Yeah. Because that's and again, Joker's having an amazing season. But the biggest battle here for those of you holding or thinking about betting Embiid to win the MVP is he can't miss many more games.
There's also an East Coast bias. Every time Embiid does something, it's right there for everyone to see and read about. Joker's still stuck in Denver. Brian Windhorst, ESPN, does a great job. Love his podcast. He lives in Omaha. He cannot watch Denver Nuggets games. They're blacked out. Explain that. How kooky is that?
Well, it's like out here when we try to explain to people during the baseball season.
That was a very good interview. Terrific answers from John Lund.
Oh, everything that he answered was terrific.
Now, I cannot believe you go into this game Sunday and you could have more question marks about the Niners than the Lions.
Well, it seemed, did you hear him laugh at one point?
I mean, this is...
Because we were like, okay, concern here, concern there. Because like the talking point is like, what's the biggest... they're not... Well, wait, there's like 4 serious things. He's like, yeah, that's all concern a little bit anyway.
But at Pittsburgh, 30-7.
Oh, game was over in the first quarter.
Beat Dallas 42-10. Beat Jacksonville 34-3. Beat Tampa by 2 touchdowns. Punked Seattle both times. Went to Philly and won 42-19.
Yep.
Okay? And they're at home laying 7. But you got all these concerns you have. But they're legitimate. It's the Shanahan thing, but I want to possess the ball, even as it ends. That is bizarre.
And John said he's looked for the analytics.
No,
he's like, there's nothing. I don't know what they're looking at.
But it goes back to how Detroit can come in loosey-goosey, and Campbell can just be so damn aggressive. And no one expected this, and they're playing with house money and could think, hey, we can go to the Super Bowl here.
How about his point, though, what he snuck in there when he said, it's not analytics. It's that Kyle Shanahan doesn't trust his defense. Okay, now is that...
Well, not in that situation, though. Not that can't be. There were 30 seconds left in the half. I mean, that's just, you can't...
I know.
You have, even though Debo was hurt, you have all these weapons. You can score. You can screen pass to McCaffrey, anything. They're so explosive. You can't coach or have that thought process.
I think the Lions can win the game. I think if they... Remember early in the season when they just did whatever... It was like Montgomery, and more Montgomery, and they were not so pass happy. If they stick to that in this game, and they're running it with Montgomery and Gibbs, and it's working because it should, and you can run on the 49ers, and then just have Goff make plays here and there, I think they can win the game.
There's pressure on the Niners, too. If not now, when? You going to win one of these?
4
For the last 5 years you've been in this game.
Yeah.
You got to get a Super Bowl.
Oh, this will be a major win.
You got to make it, too. Absolutely. They know it. At some point, the window's going to close. And you're going to look around and say, my God, we didn't win a Super Bowl?
They've had the best roster or a top 2, top 3 roster in football for 5 consecutive years. Period. That's it. And probably over that long haul, the 4 or 5 year stretch, it's been the best roster in football. And they have, 1 Super Bowl appearance? That's it. That doesn't get it done. All right, really good job by the guest today. Humans, Von Tobel, Lund. If you missed any of it, all you have to do is go back and search Follow the Money wherever you get your podcast.